What's up, guys? I'm Mike from StockedUp, and welcome back to the Stocks with Mike and Tom show. We had a historic day in the market today. The market's down about 2.5%. We saw GME explode up to $380. We have AMC stock up over 300%. We have Facebook, Tesla, and Apple earnings. Today was just a crazy day. We have so much important information to cover in this video. Make sure to stick around to the end. There's a ton of great plays and a ton of great information. If you guys are new here, don't forget to subscribe. Tom and I post brand new videos every single day. But Tom, there was so much that went on in the market today. I mean, we saw some crazy movement from GME, and then we also saw other stocks like AMC explode out of nowhere. Then we had these huge earnings and the market overall fall. I mean, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I mean, these markets are so unprecedented. GME somehow moved up again today, up 134%. And this was due to actually earlier last night, Elon Musk actually tweeted game stonks and was actually rumored to be in the Wall Street Bets Discord channel. And this really sent GameStop to the upside last night. And then this morning, it just continued its way up to $380. These are unprecedented times in the market. NOK did fantastic. AMC is up 300%. I mean, I've never seen anything like this with these stocks, but retail traders are really showing Wall Street what can be done right now whenever people get behind the same stocks. But just keep in mind that there is some stocks like TLRY. And if we go to their daily chart and look at the history on that, they actually ran up just like this. And then they ended up coming right back down. And just keep in mind that these stocks could do this. So be careful buying at these high points.
For sure. I mean, I have so many people who have never traded before asking me, what do I think about GME? And there's so much news and so much hype around this stock. I mean, this week was truly historic, especially with GME. It was just a crazy short squeeze and then so much hype around it. I mean, it was truly a historic week. And just the movement is insane. And I know we're going to have a ton of people in the comments asking us what we think about GME, and we'll cover that right now just to get it over with. So I know, Tom, there's a ton of hype around it, and there's a lot of other stocks that have hype around it too. So for GME, I know there's been a lot of people saying, this stock was going to fall, right when it was at $40, and then it got to 60, and they were saying it's going to fall, and then 100, and then 200, and now 380. So Tom, I know there's so much hype around it right now, and it's one of the most volatile stocks in the market right now. But what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking at it just to pass above 385 tomorrow to treat it like a momentum stock. I personally think it has to start coming down eventually, but just at the same time, there's so much momentum behind this and so many people are getting in that it's just keeping the stock up. And one thing to keep in mind is be careful playing puts on the way down because the IV is up so much that we're going to have to see a pretty big drop. But just keep in mind, this stock is up 134% today. It probably will start to pull back at some point. But my main thing is just there's so much momentum. Make it pass above 385 before you start buying in. And what I would start to say is with how much it's up, I would start to take profits very quickly on this. I would not start to buy this right now to hold this for a few weeks or a few months. I think that that's totally off the table right now. And I think that it has to start coming down eventually.
Personally, I'm sitting on the sidelines right now. It's such a crazy stock. I can see it popping up to 400 or 500, but at the same time, it can also drop down to 200 or 150 tomorrow. So there's so much volatility right now. I'm staying on the sidelines, but I think you have a great point with looking at the implied volatility. And, even if you want to play it to the downside, the puts are so expensive where you can actually have GameStop fall and you could actually lose money. So it's just a crazy setup. But with that being said, there's a couple other stocks going crazy like AMC, NOK, KOSS, and even SPCE. So what are you thinking of those ones?
Yeah, I mean, those ones are doing fantastic. SPCE actually did very well today, running up to 59, which really passed above their previous highs, which was pretty good to see out of that stock. And I think that SPCE, that one might start to come down as well, similar to some of these other stocks. I think that AMC might be this new hot one to start watching. That one is running very significantly today, and it's still kind of up there. I know that it came down a little bit, but it's still kind of around its highs. But I do do think that some of these stocks are going to start to come down, but I think that what's going to happen is that people are going to get behind another stock and it's going to become another GameStop. And I think that this will happen a few times. It's not going to be to the same level that GameStop was, but I think it will happen with a couple other stocks.
For sure, and a couple tickers that we're looking at that like for that type of setup, like we just said, we have AMC, we have BB, we have NOK, we have KOSS, we have NAKD, and even SPCE. So we just have a crazy market right now. But let's shift back over to the overall market. So we saw that the S&P 500 was down about 2.5% today. What's going on there?
Yeah, this is a pretty big deal. And this really happened because earlier in the morning, President Biden signed some executive orders that actually ended up hurting the oil sector and hurting oil companies. And it was some climate change executive orders, but that's showing that he's going to be pretty harsh on climate change. And this is really pretty bad. They're not allowing any more leases to mine on public land and stuff like that. So that's going to play a pretty big role in the oil market and energy sector. And also, we might start producing less oil and stuff like that. It's just really showing the type of executive orders and the type of legislature that's going to come out. I'm not trying to get political with anything, but that could hurt the markets, at least in the short term. And we can see that this morning it really hurt them, and the markets really got hurt early in the morning, which was interesting to see. And then they just kept riding down all day long, even though a lot of these other stocks were popping.
Good stuff. In time, you know exactly what I'm going to say. Let's take a look at the VIX. This thing is kind of exploding, up about 62% today. The VIX Index, if we look at the VXX, that's up around 18% today and also running up in after hours. It just shows that investors are pretty uncertain right now. The market had a pretty nice size fall today, and all the crazy things going on with GME. Investors are getting a little bit scared, and I think that's important to note. By seeing the VIX rise, all that really indicates is options prices are rising and investors are becoming a little bit more uncertain. So it's definitely important to look at that. But Tom, what's going on with Facebook's earnings?
Yeah, these earnings were actually very interesting and they were actually pretty good, but Facebook still ended up falling and their EPS was 3.88 versus a 3.2 estimate by Refinitiv, and their revenue was 28.07 billion versus a 26.44 billion forecast by Refinitiv. And these earnings were pretty good, but they went down because they actually said that Apple's new iOS 14 updates and its reversal in pandemic trends could hurt its advertising business. And this is something that Apple has done, where they started to really allow people to choose their location tracking and different type of data tracking and stuff like that Facebook can use, and that's going to hurt their ads. And that's what Facebook is saying made them fall in after hours. But then they ended up actually recovering all the way back up to 275. So maybe those earnings that were pretty good are going to make up for that.
Very interesting. It looks like it's definitely going to be an IV crush right now. And then what happened with Tesla earnings?
Yeah, Tesla actually had pretty bad earnings, which is pretty interesting to see. A lot of people expected this one to go the other way. They ended up posting a 0.80 cents EPS adjusted versus a 1.03 EPS expected, and they also had a revenue of 10.74 billion versus 10.4 billion expected. So they beat their revenue slightly, but not enough to really impact anything. But their earnings were actually down quite a bit, and they actually lost out on a thing where they were trying to hit 500,000 deliveries, but they ended up hitting 499,550 vehicles in 2020. So they just fell shy, but that's okay. It was pretty close, and they ended up producing 509,737 vehicles. But Tesla just shot up so much this year that, just keep in mind, they would have had to post fantastic earnings to keep running with this momentum.
Gotcha. So, like you were saying, they came pretty much very close to their target, and then their earnings per share was it was expected to be at $1.03, but came in at 80 cents. So, it's not terrible earnings, but it's definitely not that good. Facebook actually had some pretty good earnings, and they fell, and even Microsoft too. And Microsoft ended up running up a lot yesterday, but ended up kind of slowly falling down. And I feel like this is going to be the case for a lot of stocks this earnings season. I'm just kind of like getting that feeling, like even looking at bank stocks. They actually reported pretty good earnings a couple weeks ago, and they all fell. So I feel like the same type of thing is happening with tech stocks right now, depending on the company. And then with the last earnings report, we have Apple. What's going on there?
Yeah, Apple actually had some crazy stuff, and you can see that their after hours movement is very volatile, coming down and shooting back up and coming down and shooting up again very constantly. But there's actually a ton of stuff with Apple, and they did very good actually on their earnings, which is making me feel a little strange that they're going down, but everything is doing that lately. But their EPS was 1.68 versus 1.41 estimated, and this is a report by CNBC. And then their revenue was 111 billion versus 103.28 billion estimated, up 21% year over year. And they actually broke over $100 billion in a single quarter for the very first time, which is a very good number for Apple, over $100 billion. And this is coming from mostly their iPhone revenue. They grew 65, they're up to 65.60 billion versus a 59.8 billion estimate, up 17% year over year there. And their services are 15.76 billion versus 14.08 billion estimated, up 24% year over year. So you can just see the constant trend here, up around 20% year over year on just about everything. And it's just great to see Apple. And the main thing is that they said that there's going to be a big boom with their new iPhone 12s that they're estimating is going to make a big new bust into the phone sector, where people are going to start getting rid of their old iPhones and picking up new iPhone 12s.
Good stuff. Well, let's get right into our member of the day. Today's a special member of the day. So our member of the day is ICO Pro 23. So this person had an amazing trade on NOK. He was buying up picking up a lot of options on NOK to the upside a couple of weeks ago, and it really paid off great for him. You're not going to believe this, guys, but he's actually up $1 million today on his NOK position. So, Tom, let's get this pulled up if you can in the Discord. So he was posting a couple screenshots, like maybe just search it, Tom. Some of us, he posted in the Profits channel. So we have quite the member of the day today. He was up around $1 million, and it's truly special. So, we love to see things like this. And what the awesome part is that he was sharing this trade with everyone before NOK even popped. Tom, I know he Yep. Let's see. So this was a couple days ago, and he was up 150,000. But Tom, I think he posted it today with the million. So we can see a lot of people made a ton of money today on GME, AMC. But we definitely have to highlight ICO Pro's post from today. Okay, we finally found it. So here is his post from today. His daily P&L was around $1 million. Huge congratulations to ICO Pro 23. Keep up the great work. I mean, it's truly awesome to see a trade like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's an awesome play, man. He was calling this out in Discord a few days ago, right before NOK ran up. Pretty much last week, like on Wednesday or Thursday, he was calling this out. And then NOK like over doubled in price, which is insane. And he was calling out tons of different leap options, which was just awesome.
Yeah, congratulations again to Icy. But let's get right into our momentum plays for tomorrow. With the first one, we have ABBV to the downside.
Yep, with ABBV, go ahead and make them fall below $102.50.
All right, with the next one, we have DIS also to the downside.
DIS, make them fall below 160.50.
And then MU down.
Micron, another one to the downside. All these tech stocks now, make them fall below 74.
Yep, and then we got one more to the downside, which is Snapchat.
Snapchat, SNAP. Sorry, I actually went to SPCE. Make them fall below 47.50.
Sounds good. So we're eyeing all these plays potentially to the downside only if they can break below that level. But let's get right into the $25 million trade for this Friday. We are looking at the Apple 145 strike calls that expire this Friday, January 29th. Like I said, there was $25 million put into this play. Looking at it, I really think that they are shorting these options. Apple looks to be having a pretty significant IV crush after their earnings. Even though they reported great earnings, it wasn't to the point that would additionally just boost their stock up. So overall, Apple reported good earnings, but it just wasn't enough to keep the stock up. What are you thinking with this unusual option?
Yeah, I'm really thinking they're shorting it as well. If they are longing it, then they're going to be very upset seeing this after hours movement after that good earnings report. I think that we'll see Apple start to go up on earnings reports after their initial like phones come out, like after enough people start getting them. I know that they had the initial drop, but I think that after people start switching to it over the next year or so, then we'll start to see better earnings. But Apple's just, unfortunately, like you said, they've ran so much that they have to have such good numbers to keep going.
Good stuff. And let's get right into our questions from the previous episode. So there were so many questions with GME and even AMC. So I know we touched a lot on GME already in this video, but I want to talk more about AMC. So a lot of people are saying that this stock is going to be the next GME, and it definitely has potential just looking at the way it's been moving for the past couple days, up 301% today. But Tom, like, can you draw some levels for us, or like, can you give us any insight for AMC for the next couple days? I know it's extremely volatile, and it'll probably be hard to do. But what are you seeing?
Yeah, it's actually getting very close to a long-term resistance level here, right around the $20 to $21 level. And it's actually kind of consolidating on there today and starting to fall back down. I would actually watch for that in the short term. Like you said, they're up 300%, which is very unprecedented. If they do break this level and continue to go up, I think that we might hit $30. But other than like 30 to 35, if it starts running above that, then we might start to see another GameStop here out of AMC. But I personally don't see that happening. I think that AMC is a pretty decent company. It's a movie theater company. They can start to do better with revenue, and they are actually a decent company if COVID can kind of get under control and they can start to actually like fully open up and start to grow again. But they're also getting killed with Netflix and all the online streaming services as well. So that's going to be hurting AMC in the long run. So I don't think that this is a good long-term play myself. I personally just think that we're at that $20 to $21 resistance. And if we break that, then we could start to run a little bit more, but I don't see it like exploding like GameStop did.
Gotcha. And guys, just to clarify, any of these meme stocks, as they're called, GME, AMC, and a couple other ones, they're extremely risky. We saw GME go from, what was it, like, let me take a look at the chart, but in the past 3 weeks, this stock went from about $18 to $380. Stocks can fall just as fast as they go up, and a lot of times even quicker. So be extremely careful with these stocks. They are extremely volatile and very risky. But with the next question, we have Anna asking about Apple and Tesla for tomorrow. So it really is looking like Apple's going to be an IV crush for tomorrow, which basically means it doesn't really move too much to the upside or the downside. What's most likely going to happen, in my opinion, is it's just going to kind of follow the overall sentiment of the market. So if we see the market continue to sell off, in after hours or in pre-market tomorrow morning, I bet Apple and Tesla are kind of going to follow the same direction. You can say you could just see, looking at their earnings, like neither of them really moved a ton with the earnings. So I think the market itself is just going to kind of lead the way. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think that the market is going to be the big factor here. If we start to see the S&P and the SPY specifically start to fall, I think that all these other tech stocks and stuff are going to follow it, especially if the QQQ starts to fall as well. That's going to start to really show that the markets are starting to get a little weaker. And over the past couple days, the QQQ fell from 331, now it fell to 314 here in after hours. So there has been a lot of movement here. And if Tesla keeps moving to the downside, we might start to see a lot of these other stocks really start to follow suit, especially like with Facebook that was moving down. I know that they started to recover, but it looks like they might start heading back to the downside. To me, it looks like a lot of these tech stocks have just overran and they're just due to fall a little bit.
For sure. With the next question, we have Jake saying, thank you for the helpful and great videos. What do you think of Walmart? So thank you for that comment, Jake. So it looks like Jake was in some calls, unfortunately, on Walmart. Personally, I kind of like Walmart to the downside. What are you thinking?
Yeah, it's looking like they're starting to really pull back. They really had a good resistance up there around 148, 147.75 around there. And then they started to really pull back today. Like you said, unfortunately, he had calls, but on the daily chart, especially, it's really starting to look red. And they're having a lot of problems moving above that 150 resistance.
Good stuff. Well, Tom, do you have any last minute stocks, options, or any insight for the market for tomorrow?
I'm really just going to be watching the overall market here and the VXX and the SPY. I think that this is going to be a pretty big thing. The VXX has been holding this $16 to $17 support that I've been talking about for the past couple weeks, and it's been really moving good off of that today, up to $20. Keep in mind that there has to be a lot of movement to the downside tomorrow on the SPY and on the S&P and on the overall market for the VIX to start to rise again. So just keep that in mind, that I'm just going to be watching that tomorrow, as well as all these other hype stocks like AMC, GME, NOK, and SPCE. All of those I'm going to be watching as well. But my main concern right now is the overall market with the SPY and the VXX. And I think that a lot of people are kind of clouding their judgment right now with a lot of these other stocks that are kind of really popping, and it's making people really look at those and not really look at the overall market right now.
For sure. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you want to trade the same options as Tom and I every single day, you can click the Stocked Up Options Alerts link in the description down below. We've had a pretty nice win streak lately, a lot of it taking advantage of ZOM to the downside, Microsoft to the upside, a ton of other stocks too. Also, we're doing a quick sale right now that we're probably going to end in a couple days. So it's the first link in the description down below if you are interested, and let us know in the comments down below what other stocks you're looking at for the rest of the week. If you guys have any questions on stocks like GME or AMC or any other stocks, let us know in the comments down below, and we'll most likely answer them in the next video. If you guys are new here, don't forget to subscribe. We post brand new videos every single day. But with that being said, thanks for watching.